Tram zips by, The wind whistles against the trees below, and the frequent rainstorms bring a soft melody to what has become a sort of soundtrack to the silence that's sitting in this apartment. I think I may have forgotten how to even make small talk. The language barrier here in Germany has been so much more significant than I expected, and it's left Richie and I to mostly keep to ourselves. But it has meant that we have a lot of time to have long, wandering conversations about our life, what we want, what's next for us. That's the wild thing about travel. We just sort of took a step towards something we didn't know an awful lot about and trusted that along the way we would discover why we did it in the first place. After 10 weeks of full-time travel, I don't think we have the answer to this yet. But I do think that all of the quiet time here has helped us crystallize what our next little step will be.
So cute and cool.
Okay, let's have a little chat. I'm gonna be honest, I'm very glad that we're packing up and leaving Germany. It's been a long 6 weeks here, and although this place wasn't what we expected, I feel like it's really what we needed. We needed to feel some of the realities of what it's like to live abroad for a time and feel how imperfect it is. We really struggled with some things while we were here. Mainly the language barrier, I would say, really held us back. It was just tough, honestly, to not be able to communicate with like literally anyone. And when you're traveling faster, I feel like it's just a lot easier. You're mostly going to tourist places, but here it's just, this is a typical German city, and it was hard to get by with just English and a tiny little bit of German. So that kept us pretty isolated. But I will say, I don't know how much of it is also just because some of the newness of travel has worn off. Like, we did go to Belgium for a month before here, and we really had a great time there. Like, it was so much fun. I think we had a great time. So coming here, I was really in a very high place, like high expectations, and it just did not live up to that. So I don't know if some of it was just starting to miss home, starting to miss the comforts of like back home. I don't know, it may have been a combination of the two things, but because we were pretty isolated during this time here, like I mentioned before, we had a lot of time to chat, and we realized a few things that I think will carry with us as we plan future travels and maybe find a new place to call home. One of those things, kind of weird, but we've really loved all of the rainy, gloomy days. Like, the last few weeks have just been straight gloom, and it's honestly been the best. Like, so cozy, perfect weather to just be inside, and love it. And honestly, even going outside, like taking walks, it just feels like fall. It's lovely. So I think we realized, like, in other places we have traveled that have been cooler weather and gloomy, we've also really loved. So I think it was just something we enjoy and maybe want to have in a place that we live one day. But anyway, aside from that, I think we also really liked being high up in this apartment. Like, we've never lived in a place like this before, and we didn't know how Penny would do, but she did great. And we really loved being able to just look out on the city and the park and everything. And so that was kind of a nice benefit to this place as well. A couple things that we realized that we really don't like, that we don't want to repeat or we want to avoid, aside from, of course, like the language barrier and cultural barriers that were difficult, the food honestly has been tragic. Like, I'm just gonna be honest with y'all, like, it has not been good. Aside from like bratwurst and currywurst, like, I'm sorry, but it's just, the food is bland. And I know that I have heard this about like Northern Europe, but I didn't realize how much it would affect me. Like, I just kind of assumed that I would be able to find good food, but the food in the grocery store has been a little bit hit or miss, and not having like all of my cooking supplies has made it hard to cook like really flavorful food at home. And so relying on eating out for some like good food has just, it's been a fail. Like, it just, every time it's disappointing. So that's kind of a bummer, and I feel like we realize that a big part of why we travel and why we want to experience other places is to have good food and try different foods. So we just need to set our expectations differently, I guess, and maybe prioritize places that we know have really good food. So because of some of our experiences while we've been here, we did decide to make some changes to our upcoming plans. We had some longer Airbnb stays planned, and we did decide to cancel a couple of those because we felt like maybe we wanted to just experience more, like travel a little faster and go to some places that we really just have on our bucket list, I guess, and not be so worried about like needing a place, like a more stable like place long term. So the next place that we're going, we are staying for like a chunk of time, but after that, it's gonna be a little bit faster. And I'm really excited for, like this whole next leg of our journey. So stay tuned for a very probably chaotic travel adventure to get us over to our next destination.
but I think it'll be fun.